Hello.
Hi. It's been a while.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
it's been quite a while. I'm Chantal,
I'm Chi Chi.
and this is the Reality She Prefers podcast.
Hey. We've been going at it here discussing, different books.
Different books off mic, and then we were like, hey, we should probably start recording. We have not stopped reading. Reading has not stopped. In fact, it has actually increased tenfold. I'm a good influence on Chi Chi. This is a shameless plug for me. I set a goal for 88 books to read for the end of the year. I'm at 109.
Nice. Nice. So I'm at 38.
Which is still very, very impressive. When I read something that the average person reads like 12 a year, which is like one a month.
Oh yeah? Not 30?
I don't know. What would 30 be? That wouldn't even be 2 a month. That would just be over 2 in a month. 2.5 books a month, I guess.
Right.
So we've been reading, we've been too busy reading and not recording. And then we kind of took the stance on not every book we read is something that maybe we should discuss.
Yeah.
It should be ones that we see a value.
Or I think ones that we want to discuss about.
Yeah. Which is, I'm just pulling up the books and I'm getting excited. So we are going to be discussing M.L. Wang, Blood Over Brighthaven.
Yeah. I'm so excited.
And a little bit of backstory. We have read The Sword of Kaigan by M.L. Wang as well, which we will discuss. It is so good too. When Chi-Chi, I don't know if you want to describe your feeling about after this book, you were like, I'm going to read everything.
Everything except YA, because I'm just not into YA as much. But everything Wang writes, I will read.
Yeah.
I think you just like brought up, I don't remember what you were reading at the time, but you were like, this is next on my list. And I was like, that looks really good. No, you sent me a TikTok.
I sent you, okay, so we were talking about, I don't know how it got there, and I was Googling, so I had finished Dune, and I had a list of books of like, if you liked Dune, these are the next ones you should read. And I mean, The Sword of Kaigan is nothing like Dune, but it was just on there of like epic books, like really great books. That along with The Way of Kings, which shout out, I am starting very soon. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be reading this one next. And you're like, this looks really good. And you're like, you started it before I did. I wasn't even like ready to start it. You're just like, you were just like, I don't know if you were just pulled to it or what.
Immediately. I think you were not talking about sort of, it's hard not to. It's such a good book. But I was I'm a character reader, so it was basically the maternal figure in the book, and it was the conflicts and the politics that she was sort of, enmeshed in, and the ideologies and like the themes, they really resonated.
Talk about it.
I know, right? They really resonated with me. So I think it was like page 50, I was just sucked right in. And I could not, I was blown away. I think it's a 600-page book.
You finished it really quickly.
Yeah, and that doesn't usually happen. I'll finish in like 2 to 3 days. Yeah.
And even I was like, okay, I guess I have to catch up to you. So I was like listening and reading just to catch up to you, which usually it's the opposite way around.
Yeah.
Okay, back to her most recent work, Blood Over Brighthaven.
Yeah.
You read it, or like
I listened to it.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Listen.
Okay. Sorry.
Same nonsense.
Okay.
Do you want to do a brief summary?
Oh God, I'm not really good at this.
I'm not either. Especially with this book. This was so I went into this kind of blind. I only read it because you told me to, and you also bought me the book. So I was like, well, now I have to read it. I move things on my TBR to fit this one in.
Did you read it physically?
No, I also listened to it.
It was good, right? The audio was
great.
Amazing.
Just an Audible credit for that one. Yeah, I don't even, how to describe this. Well, this is also the first, I want to say like it's futuristic, but also it's very, I don't know, is it like modern fantasy? Like,
yeah,
I don't like. I've never read like a contemporary modern fantasy. I don't know.
Now that you speak about it, I don't think I could place it in a time, like in a specific time period. I just I completely okay.
And this is one of the criticisms of the book, was not actually it's not even a criticism, just
Right.
a point
Right.
that we were discussing
Yeah.
about when we were, reading it, or when I had finished this book, because you were light years ahead of me on finishing it,
Yeah.
was that I couldn't fully picture what the main character looked like
Yeah.
in terms of like their ethnicity, their location in the world. And I'll have a very hard time with that. The only reason I thought that it might be like the UK, like Scotland, Ireland, England, is because of the audiobook, because she was from the UK, the accent.
Mm.
And there are a couple of signs there with the hair colors that they described, but I like the imagery was really great. However, I really love to picture the characters. That's kind of pointing out the time, like the time period of where it take place.
Yeah, I mean, and also I think a point that's important to bring up is that you're a detail-oriented reader.
Yeah, I'm very.
And I am not a detail-oriented. If you're writing a book, your details will glide right over my head. So I'm not looking for details. I'm looking for just I read from a bird's eye view.
Okay.
Essentially. So
Yeah, so I mean, on that note, I kind of started talking about like the little.
oh right, I wanted to
little
mention
minor.
something.
Yeah.
I wanted to mention something. So right. So that was your criticism, and for me,
It's not even a criticism. It's just
not.
like it's like a little bleep in like
right.
in the like a little drop in the water. It's really not
totally
a
get it.
criticism.
I totally get it. And for me, a book is good if, and I talk about this all the time. I've been mentioning it more and more the more I write about books, get into literature. But if a book can make me do what suspend disbelief, if it can make me forget that it is just a fiction and I'm not reading about somebody's actual life, then it's fine. Like, details aside, I may not know like physical descriptions. I will completely abandon all of that for the story. And this did it for me. So
Yeah, it was very, very powerful. The way, I'll give her so much credit. The way she is able to just take a story and make it so much more about so much more than what it is.
yeah.
Like, I mean, it's about this.
She writes with her soul. She writes with her heart.
Well, I mean, yes, she does.
Really, really, really
But
deeply.
like, only she could write. What did I text you? Only she could write a novel about a female lead, about magic,
Right.
a magical school, a magical university that is literally about like girl power, and at the same time it's not.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like at the end, I don't like that part. So can you please describe the book? Just describe the book. I don't like that. It's not what I said in the text. The text sounded better.
Don't kill me. Okay. This is a story about a girl who gets accepted into a magic university. Basically, it's a dark academia novel. So she's the first female mage in the history of this society. As a result, there's a lot of pressure on her to excel and accomplish. However, as she's doing, really like working through it, slugging through it within this highly patriarchal setting and very sexist and misogynistic school structure. So as she's like really doing her best to pioneer new ways of looking at things and doing things within her industry, she comes across really critical information that basically alters the way she sees both the institution that she works for and the society that she's a part of, and basically creates a domino effect for things to come.
That's a really good non-spoilery review.
Okay,
that was very good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what she discovers, I'm not going to spoil anything, but what she discovers really highlights multiple things like sexism in our society, racism in our society, discrimination, colonialism, I think. Did you mention that?
I did.
Like,
Did.
just all of these really intense and powerful themes
Right.
that we are still dealing with in, our society today.
Yeah.
And she's, I don't want, dumbing down is not the right, like, it's so, like, simplistic when you think about, like, oh, it's just, a girl going to a magic school and, she's the first, like, I don't know, it just seems such a basic premise, but when you get down to it and you get down to her writing and the plot, it's just so deep. Like, every single thing is connected in such a deep and meaningful way
Yeah.
that, like, when the ending happens, it's just perfect.
Yeah.
To me, it just makes everything. I mean, I would have liked an epilogue. That's another little, I'm a little annoyed. Lost a little bit of half of the star rating because I would have wanted to know more. Right? Just like an epilogue would have helped me. Or make a part 2.
Never. Well, she wouldn't.
Why?
I don't know. I feel like Wang is a standalone. Sort of, she's carved this thing. I really want her to get into like creating. I would read her series. I would. Just insider knowledge here is that I don't like reading series, but for Wang, I'll read anything.
So, what did you like most about the main character?
So, question. Are we not spoiling? Because we always spoil. So you let me know what you want to do.
I don't know. I mean, you did a perfect, like, non-spoiling.
I know. Yeah.
Whatever. Because I'm asking you about the character because we've talked about the main character and your thoughts on it. And I don't think if you express those thoughts that you'll spoil anything.
I mean, maybe we should just continue with our brand of spoilery reviews because we're catering to people who've already read it. If you haven't read a story, like, go and read it and then come and join in on this discussion. So this is the part where we're going to spoil. Okay, you got 12 good solid minutes of non-spoiler earmuffs on. Yeah. Okay, so essentially, Siona finds out that's the main character.
I love that you remember her name. You never remember her. I don't even remember. Like, I mean, you'll remember now.
Listen, I'm on a roll. I remember Ethan Burke. So
don't get me started on Ethan.
Remembering names. And Tomo. Okay.
Oh, but you know what you did do, and I can cut this out. When you were sending me a voice note today, you said Ethan Steinbeck, and I was like, oh my gosh, what sacrilegious? Where was this? Where's John?
Oh God, yeah. Anyway, yeah. So Siona finds out that her institution, has been all of the magicians, all of the mages, or they're not magicians, but
whatever
mages.
I mean, that's not true.
The way that their magic works is by harnessing energy from a parallel world. Like they call it the other world.
Yeah, like literally across the border.
That's what we find out.
Yeah.
That they've been harnessing energy from like everywhere. Every
living thing.
Every living thing
Yeah.
outside of their own society.
Yeah, that ends up killing.
So there's a border that protects them, so they can't harness energy from there. So essentially, what this it's an analogy for colonialism and imperialism, where we have been, or the West really has been harnessing energy from, or harnessing raw mineral and harnessing labor, like human labor from
this take
from Africa and other parts of the world, right? So I felt that what I think Wang is doing with this book is drawing a parallel between this magic world and the history of Western imperialism and colonialism.
I totally agree with you on that. I think I have a thought when you were speaking, and then I wanted to be considerate and not cut you off. And No, I don't remember. It was
Oh,
just gonna
girl.
be like to the like additional. Oh yes, yes, I remember. So it was even the fact that like she makes this major discovery,
Yeah.
right? What you just revealed,
Right.
and everyone of the powerful mages knows about it. Everyone
Yeah.
is just complacent
Complacent.
in all the like and the mages are powerful, so it's like the government essentially, right?
Yeah.
That controls the society. They're in charge of everything. So not only is the like she's discovering this major thing, but she's like, wait, you guys all know,
Yeah.
and you're just cool, like you're just fine with it. And she's trying to provide solutions, but they won't listen to her because
Yeah.
they think she's an emotional female, and
Yeah.
she has no real I guess merit in what she's trying to.
They've used religion to ground the whole thing, right? So like, oh, you can't do it. You
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
handle
yeah.
it if you're a woman, but this is backed by God.
Yeah, their god is like how they justify where the power comes
Yeah.
from
Yeah. Yeah. Well
and
said.
how they siphon the power.
Exactly.
Right? So,
Yeah.
and because in the other, like across the boundary, they also have their own god.
Yeah.
They have their own belief system, but it's not like it's very closed-minded in that they don't really know the full, they don't understand the other culture. Like, because it's like they don't want the people in this society to know where they're getting their magic from, because if they did, it would be a huge, I think, conflict, right? Internal conflict, which
Right.
in the end destroys everything, right? Because she exploits the not exploits them, exposes them all,
Yeah.
and everything blows up in flames.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, 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 exactly. Like, I love that it did that, use religion in that way, like exactly how people have exploited religious ideologies, especially people in power. And in the same way, it drew on that, like this history of, just this history of like making, how ideologies work, dominant ideologies work in society to sort of dull people and make people complacent, like you said, and implicit.
Yeah, because they're so used to, and like even her cousin got so mad at her, for exposing them, and like because they were used to this way of life,
Yeah.
and now she's disrupted that, and
Yes.
she's upset that she couldn't just be like one of them, like them,
Yeah.
right? For me, one of the main I mean, besides all of those major things that you just mentioned,
Yeah.
like a really big thing for me that stood out in the book was the level of sexism that was throughout, like just filtered throughout this book. It was so infuriating. It's infuriating to like have her superiors, her colleagues, her mentor, essentially like not berate, but like, yeah, but almost berate her for her sex, and like not take anything that she says seriously because she is a female, even though she has very masculine, like she acts very masculine, right? She's had to kind of adapt, and she hardly shows emotion. Not that that's a masculine. I mean, well, I don't want to get into that, but like everything was like, oh, because you're a female, oh, it must be because you have emotions. And then like harnessing the what was it when she saw the doctor, it was like every time that she would express emotion, it was like what was it like, oh gosh,
The doctor.
yeah, but that was like, oh, that's like a feminine thing, what is it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that really drove me nuts.
Yeah. 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 I think this brings up, I think you wanted me to talk about this too, how it brings up her character.
I asked you what you liked about the character.
Yeah,
Like deflected.
I completely, I'm sorry. I forgot. But no, I don't know if what I liked about the writing of the character is that she's a very morally gray character, a very complex character. I know I sent you a voice note being like, she's actually pretty messed up because of all the solution that she could think of, murdering a room full of people. was the only thing that she can come up with
At the end, you mean?
at the end,
Yeah.
right? Like, but that was already in the process
Yeah. I don't
because she
think
had
she's
told
got any.
Kamil.
Yeah. I mean, at this end, I don't mean to cut you off, but
Yeah,
like
go ahead.
her intention when she told people about
Yeah.
this, like the discovery that she made,
Yeah.
was that I think she was naive and she thought that like they were all going to be like, oh my gosh, this is such an injustice.
Right.
What are we doing? Let's change everything now and make things right. And it
Yeah.
like went to shit,
Yeah.
right? Because like the people in her society that were like her were either really upset or like we don't care.
Yeah.
And then the people like that were, yes, live in her society, but I forget what they're called. What did she call them?
The blighters or whatever.
Yeah, so
The people who have been affected by this
yes. So we'll say
colonial
the victims.
context. Yeah,
the
yeah.
victims. They were outraged, right? And I don't think she took that into consideration, that
No,
the
she didn't.
civil war essentially that she started.
Yeah.
So I think when you're saying, oh yeah, she'd have to kill a room full of people, she already started basically a civil war.
She did.
She was on trial for her actions. She was going to be sentenced to death, executed.
Yeah.
Like she knew that this was going to happen.
But every
so, like,
decision that she made,
she wanted to. It's okay. She wanted to. She didn't see another choice because nothing was going to change.
Yeah.
Nothing. None of those people in power took her seriously. They condemned her to death. So she's like, forget it. I'll just kill you. Like, what other like she almost like she wanted to do a blank slate. You know, like let's start from scratch.
Yeah.
I didn't view it like that. I was just like, to me, I was like, finally she's getting some revenge.
Evil people. No. Here, let me explain it like this. She was always making really poor decisions. And the reason why we know that is because Tamil was the voice of reason. Every single idea she brought to Tamil, he was like, that's not a good idea. In fact, it wasn't just Tamil, it was also Tamil's niece.
Mm-hmm.
And she's really impulsive. She's written as impulsive and really like, she has some masculine traits, but they could see through it, which makes me think that Sayona's character is blinded by something. Like she struggles with the ability to make decisions that are, you know how like there was a whole ideological idea that was going back and forth there, that, you know, with one religion, or like, you know, the Blighters or Tamils people, like their god with their religion, to do something good, right? Your actions is what is like counted, and the effects of your actions, the outward, like how effective you've been at causing good things to happen, right? Like not causing the least harm. I know I'm struggling to really articulate my thoughts there, but so there's like the ideological back and forth between
Good and evil.
Good and evil. Well, not good and evil, but it's like your intentions your intentions outweighs the effects of the actions that you've taken, right? You remember that? Hold on. I want to actually make a point, but do you remember that? Like all of the I'll be quick.
No, I don't.
That back and forth. So Sayona exemplifies a character who consistently makes like decisions that actually cause a lot of harm. Causes a lot of harm. And she's not able to see that, right? Because Tamil and his niece intervene and they're able to say, I don't think that plan is the best plan, Sayona, because like people are going to interpret it that like this is what's going to happen. So they could foreshadow and they could foretell that people will uprise.
Mm-hmm.
But she still goes ahead and does it.
I think.
Wait, can I say? Let me wrap it up, man. Sorry. So she still goes ahead and does it, which makes me think that Sayona's incapable or blinded by the sheer desire to be remembered, to be recognized,
Okay.
because of because of the impediments to her sex and like where she's positioned, and she's got this like she's working with a lot of trauma, right? She's she didn't have her father growing up. She really wants to prove something to the world, especially being a female mage, right? And so she continuously makes these decisions that make me think she's making the decisions more because she wants to be remembered in history books. That's obviously not the only thing her character is centered around. She's very, very complex, but that's a strong defining trait that she carries forward. And so that's why I think she's a very complex and morally great character.
So I don't disagree with you, but I
Okay.
will add that I think there is a level of privilege versus non-privilege. I think she's coming from, yes, she didn't have her father. It's not that she didn't have him. He left,
Yeah.
and he's actually like part of this government essentially,
Right.
and like has disowned her. Her mother died. Yeah, right. Yeah, her mother died. She was raped by her aunt and lived with her cousin. So I think, I don't mean privileged, not like, oh, she's privileged, she has her mom and dad, she has family. I think it just comes down to when she was making those bad decisions, and Tommel and his niece were like, well, maybe you should think about this. I think it comes from their perspective of having the information and the knowledge of someone who's unprivileged, who like, okay, so think about someone who is like super rich, has never known what it's like to be poor.
Yes.
Ever.
Yeah.
Like, they wouldn't know what it feels like to live on the streets.
Okay.
They wouldn't be able to empathize with someone unless this is my assumption. They wouldn't be able to be like, you know what, if we got rid of that bus shelter because it looks bad, or I could build something else, it might look better. I'm going to make more money that way if I get rid of that. They're not going to say like, oh, well, that bus shelter, someone actually uses that nightly when it's -40 out. Whereas they're not going to see that perspective.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
And they're not going to understand until they have a conversation with someone about how removing something like that is a bad idea. Right? Because they don't have the knowledge, they don't have the perspective. So that's the only caveat that I would say to your perspective is like, she's having her decisions challenged, maybe for the first time, not just because of her sex, but because of her lack of understanding of being privileged. Because if you think about it, like, she's a female, yes, that's not the greatest in her society. It's not great for where she's going and what her aspirations are, and she has to try extra hard to be remembered and to be like one of the men. But at the same time, like, she's coming from a society that is literally siphoning and killing people and taking advantage of another society which they deem invaluable. Right?
Yeah.
So when you talk to someone of another religion, you talk to someone of another race, you don't understand what it's like to be in their shoes until you've actually spoken to them, or you've been in their shoes, or you have empathy to understand.
So Tommel and his niece are able to see things that she's not able to see.
100%.
Because she's sort of, she's, I don't want to say blinded, but you know what I'm saying, by her privilege. She's incapable of seeing it.
She's I don't think she understood it like until she started to really like connect with Tommel. They were kissing at some point, right?
In fact, she was kind of prejudiced. She was really awful at the beginning.
She was not
very
prejudiced to him.
Yeah, racist.
It's interesting that you brought up. I didn't want to throw that word out because the way that Wang wrote it, there was never a black and white. There was never a brown and black. There was never there's never color.
Yeah.
Physical color.
Yeah.
And that to me, you're like, oh, I think she did that on purpose.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I want details. I need details. In my mind, I pictured the main character white.
Yeah, same.
And I mean the twist thing threw me off a little bit, but then like at the end I don't anyways. So I think she was white. Do I know what Tommel was?
I felt like he was white too.
Maybe. I thought there was a little bit of I know I said this at the beginning because you mentioned like the red hair, the blighters had red hair.
Yes.
I really think like it was like England and Scotland. because there is such a tension there. I mean, I shouldn't speak to this. I'm not an expert, but there is some kind of tension there, or even like, you know, Ireland, right? Northern Ireland and Ireland.
Yeah.
I don't know why I picture this in like a UK setting.
No, you might probably onto something.
I probably just the accent, but that's kind of what I pictured. Was there some kind of like, well, they're close enough. They're in the same area. They're close enough, but some kind of distinguishing feature. Yeah, I didn't want to say black and white. I didn't want to bring that up, but
No,
that's kind of what I was
no.
thinking.
No, like everything. Like, I wish I really knew this history, but I don't. But it's okay to say that it's racist. So like, even like,
Yeah.
you know, like English people were racist towards.
Oh, 100%.
You know what I'm saying? Like, doesn't need to be like black, or do you know, like racially black or defined as ethnically black or African.
Actually, maybe I'm gonna go with the Ireland fact, because the whole war between Northern Ireland and Ireland is because of the Catholic and Protestant War, right? So it's very much religion focused, right? So like that's kind of again where my mind was going with this, like, hey, is it UK? Is it Ireland? It could be absolutely neither. But that's where I was like, well, they're like similarity, like they're so similar, and like the crap that went down in that civil, like it's really bad.
Oh my God.
So
No, I mean, I don't know if I can really put to words what I'm thinking, but it was just this, you know, and these sort of conversations are so meaningful because you could say one little thing and it just like it triggers a thought.
yeah.
But no, it really makes you think. And I think this is what Wang's novel does really well.
Yeah.
And maybe perhaps even leaving out physical, racial descriptions. But it makes you think about how a lot of prejudice and racism is rooted entirely in, like ideologies, right? Like, I mean, it sounds so simple, but in my head, there was a little light bulb that went, yeah, no, you can have a society of people who look exactly, and we know this for a fact, look exactly alike, and the rest of the world can't really see what distinguishes the two of them, right? And what's at the root of the conflict, or the schism, is just basically ideology.
It's true.
And a lot of times religious ideology.
It happens all the time. I mean, happened in Biafra in Nigeria.
Yeah. But that's a really good example. Like in the Nigerian Civil War, the Igbos and the Hausa, were at odds, right? And to the rest of the world, I'm sure they saw all like people who look exactly the same. But obviously when you're there are so many differences that separates these ethnicities from one another. And all of it is rooted in ideology. So it's easy, like here in this part of the world, when the differences between people are often rooted in actual physical differences, right? Like we can say you're white and I'm black, right? But in leaving that sort of detail out and including only hair color, I think what Wang's book does is makes us think about how something as trivial as hair color could actually be racialized, and how really what's at the heart of these differences are like religious beliefs, and like it's really religious beliefs, isn't it? Like she really focused on
or maybe the lack of details
yeah,
allows it to be more universal.
absolutely.
Because anyone reading this anywhere in any part of the world, it just goes to show you that it is all over the place.
Yes, yeah,
right?
yeah.
So you could be in Nigeria reading this and you'd be like, oh yeah, 100%, that's happening here. You could be in South Africa, you could be in Asia, you could be like here in Canada. I still don't love that she did that from my reading of us. I want a complete story. I want to imagine everything, every little detail.
Yeah.
But I also understand the reason for her not to do this, if it's the reason that we are speculating.
Yeah. I love this book. I would give it a 5 out of 5 if you didn't know.
We didn't know rating.
Yeah.
So I don't remember what I rated. I think I rated it like a 4.5.
Yeah.
I feel like just I've been getting a little more stingy with the amount of 5 stars that I read out.
Yeah.
I will say though, with the Sword of Kaigen, there was towards the end certain things I didn't love about it, but with this one, I was like,
Very clean.
this is very clean.
Yeah.
It's perfect. Didn't try too hard. It didn't.
Absolutely.
It just like it went full circle.
Absolutely.
Even though I didn't want her to die. Sorry, that's a big spoiler, but she dies.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're still listening at this amount of time, thank you. So, I didn't want her to, but I wasn't upset when it happened.
Right.
And I think the only thing I deducted was the fact that I would have wanted to know more about Tommel and what happened, because they made this big deal about sparing one of the government officials, one of the mages.
The mages. Yeah.
Thank you. They spared him, and the reason for sparing him was so that he could take what he learned, because he was like a younger mage, and the fact that the main character, I forget her name,
Siona.
Thank you.
Yeah.
She did all this work, so like let everybody know, like basically to change history.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, you spared this person, and now you've escaped and you're able to go back to your home country or your homeland, and that's all we get. That's it. Like, I just would have loved an epilogue that would like have made all of this work that she did, that like the whole book was about uncovering all this and making this big deal, and she literally blew everything up. Give us just a little bit of redemption that what she was trying to do actually worked. Now, I know what you might say.
Oh, what will I say? Pray tell.
You might say, yeah, well, this is very like society, that all of these people will try to do all of these things to try to make things better, and we try to get rid of racism, we try to find our peace between different religions, and it never seems to work. We're in 2024 and we still have the same issues. We're still fighting about religion like they did in like when that world was first created. Like, it's the same shit over and over and over again. So is there really a peaceful resolution? Is there really a happy ending here?
Right.
No. Is that what you're going to say? Something?
No.
But great attempt. I love you.
No, I was going to say actually that would have been too easy. It would have been too easy for Siona. It would have been like, assuming that, like we're in this world, it would have been exactly what Siona wanted, to be remembered. And I don't think the book wants to be that easy or that simple. I think it wants to leave us with Siona, with troubling Siona's decisions right at the end. I still have a problem with the fact that the only thing that she thought was the solution was to commit mass murder. I would envision to be like the better, like if I was like part of this society, Siona like causing an uprising, but like riling people up slowly, and she had that. Life is about choices. You and I, the only thing that we have when we come into this world are like choices, the ability to choose, as long as assuming we're able to do so. Do you understand what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So she made the choice. She made the choice to murder people, and she made the choice to reveal something that basically upended the society, and rather than allow the justice of the society to run its course and like die, right? She chose to kill like all of the mages, and not just the mages, but the politicians, everybody that was in that courtroom that day. She chose to murder. And that is a decision that not only she, because she's died, but the people of that society would have to reckon with. And actually, if you think about the reason why her cousin couldn't get on board, it's because the people that her cousin would have supported, the blighters, the quote unquote blighters, became the enemy, right? They never gave like those people, like the privileged people, the people that are part of this society, the chance. Siona never gave them the chance to actually digest the information in a way that they could actually make decisions about how to move forward.
I was agreeing with you from all what
No,
you
but
said there
yeah.
until the end.
No, but think about what I'm
He
saying,
was
though.
trying to really. I feel like she was trying to tell these like they just were basically almost I feel like gaslighting her when
Her
she was
cousin?
telling no not her cousin
Okay.
when she was telling like her mentor
Right.
all these other people about it like oh yeah we know about it you'll just get used to it it's not a big deal
Yes.
like from her point of view I don't think she saw like if she's going to the person she trusted the most
Yeah.
who also has power in the society
Yeah.
to make the right decision about like what to do.
Yeah.
About this extreme moral conflict. He didn't do that. He kind of let her down. So, you know, she's gonna go to him and she didn't I think she went to one other person or maybe she didn't. I don't remember. If they're not going to listen to her and they're not gonna take her opinion seriously or call her, they used her like they almost tried to make her as if she was psychotic. Like that she was having a mental breakdown.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't think yes, okay, for sure. She didn't have to murder all of those people. But I don't know if she felt that she had any other choice um in the way that she divulged the information.
Yeah.
Maybe she could have done it maybe a little bit better.
No.
It was she almost like she committed like what's the word? Like it was like a very anarchist approach
Right.
to
Right.
the whole way like she you know siphoned or she created a magic spell put it into their magic system so that everyone would just know there was no like slow release I don't know it was not even though she thought it was thought out it was not extremely it was not the best way I'll agree with you that she could have let people know but I don't think that she thought that she had any other choice in how she divulged that information.
But she only divulged it to her mentors, to people, to someone in position of power.
She never tried to. Who's she gonna tell? No one else. She doesn't know anybody else.
No.
Her cousin and her aunt. They'd probably know she was delusional too.
I mean, yes, but also history's like all of these movements in history often occur at the grassroots level. Siona went and made the decision for the entire society on how to move next. Like, I get that her choices may have been like limited. I get that that's how you feel. But personally, the way I read this is that I think that it's a huge decision that she undertook. And just because I'm really more concerned with like narratively, like the entire book, what we're supposed to take away, I don't think that we're supposed to take away that this is actually the best choice. But this might just be a bias on my part.
Question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
If she was the, let's say, president of this world, where she was in charge to make whatever decision she could, as other presidents of various countries do.
Yeah.
And oftentimes we may not agree with those presidents.
Yes.
Do you still think that
that's a good question.
She should have gone to other like do you think she would have needed the validation if she was the one in charge and she was like, you know what, I just found this out?
I love that question. I love how we always get so very political and philosophical.
You answer that question, or is it just because she is on the lower end of the hierarchy of the reporting structure eventually that she had to, you know, okay, she went to someone she trusted, someone she valued, and that wasn't enough. Okay, she needed to go to this person. She needed to go up this hierarchy. So okay, I hear your point. I'm not going to fight you on it. But if she was the one in charge, would that change your decision? And she just decided, you know what? I'm making this as the president of this, as a female, as the first female president of this country, I mean, of this organization, of this area. I'm just going to make this decision. Would that change your decision or your answer?
So I think that what you are getting at, right, is like whether or not the way I feel about how she responds and moves with the information that she has is rooted in the legal structure of this world. Like if she was done because if she had made the decision that she did because she was in a position of the highest authority, then she would be definitively like the legal
Correct.
structure, right? Okay, so what I'm saying is based on the amount. It's based on the ideology of the book, which is the amount of harm that Sayona has caused within this society.
Okay, but there's a lot of presidents who make choices that end up leading to wars.
No. We know that the structure of the society and the everyday decision that people within positions of power make in the society is actually a net negative. Like it causes harm. Like it's like the most, it doesn't even make any sense, because why would you want to kill everybody around you? Where's your power going to come after that? But it's pretty awful. It's awful stuff, right? But Siona's decision is not only impulsive, right? Well, this is the way I read it. It's not only impulsive, but it presumes like but this is why Siona is no different. And she says this, right? I was going down a thread, but then now I'm skipping to another one. She actually says this right at the end when she's also being blighted, right? So she's siphoned the energy from the courtroom, and now she's like, she recognizes that she's exactly like the people she despises the most. And to circle back to your question.
Yeah, please, I'm waiting.
Yeah. I hate you. It's another way. Do not cut off these laughs. It's another way of saying that she's caused harm in the same way that these people have.
Okay.
Right? So yeah, to answer your question, I don't think, even if Siona was like at the top of the hierarchy, like within this society, I still condemn the actions of this society. I still think that there are other choices that could have been made. She chose the one that she thought was the best within the situation that she was. And I think that decision was rooted ultimately in this desire for greatness and this desire to be remembered. And because of that, that actually makes her closer to the thing it is that she was basically excising from this world, removing from this world.
What would you have done?
I have done?
Yeah.
I would cause a rebellion from the grassroots.
Okay.
I would have disseminated information, right? Like I would have started with actually collaborating with Tamil. Tamil, here's the information. I need your help. How do we get on board? What do we do? Keep a face, work in the mage. Siphon, I wouldn't siphon. And if I did, and I knew how to siphon from things that are non-human like entities, I would do that instead, just to keep a face, right? But ultimately, I would be working at the grassroots level.
The long change, and I think she was trying to just fix it really quickly without thinking about.
Well, it was very masculine, wasn't it? If you think about it, it was very impulsive. It was very like
impulsive doesn't have to be man,
but those are male traits.
Impulsive.
We know that that's a male trait.
Yeah, but it's very. You're impulsive too.
Oh yeah, I'm very impulsive, but I'm nothing like a man. I know I can be anyway. But you know what I'm saying? When they say like female traits and male traits, I don't like those like really silly categories. They're really silly, but like, you know what I'm saying, right? Like,
sure.
At the end of the day, for Sayona to fit into this world of mages, she needed to harness this very masculine quality, right? And she does so, but it makes her very much close to the people that she really like that are like the antagonists of the whole narrative.
Okay.
Do you get what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying. I get what you're
Okay.
saying. What I would have done, I don't know. I didn't think about it like that.
Yeah.
In terms of, I just was there for the ride and thinking like, okay, what's gonna happen? I wasn't questioning, oh gosh, she shouldn't do that. What is she doing?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe the only thing would have been like, probably should have listened to Tommel, like way earlier in your, because he was telling you like, this is
I know,
a
right?
good idea. Wouldn't do this.
Voice of reason.
Like, I don't know, or maybe even just done a little bit more research,
Yeah.
and how could not, like, okay, you're telling people about this, okay, but what's the solution?
Yeah.
You're not providing a good enough solution. I don't know. It's scary presenting the information the way she did, or the fact that like she presented this information and she thought that people were just gonna wake up and like have this revelation, right? They're just gonna change everything. Like,
Yeah.
that's not really how things work, right?
Yes. No.
So after Civil War, that doesn't really surprise me. I was kind of like, oh crap.
Yeah.
I mean, I felt bad for her, to be honest.
I just want to emphasize one thing. It's not a judgment on Siona. It's actually like for me, what I'm saying is like everything that makes this book just amazing. That I don't think that this book wants you to agree with Siona's decisions. I think this book is pushing us to think about the ways in which she's actually part of the problem, right? And like how like this ideology is embedded into like like everything, the fabric of the society, right? Like the ideology of your your intention matters more than anything, rather than the effects of your actions. And she had great intentions, or she, at least on the surface, she had great intentions. I still think that she was, motivated by a desire to excel. And there we have like the gender dynamic.
I think she was absolutely motivated by a chance to excel. Even the fact that she constantly talked about like, well, I'm creating this spell. It's like all of like me.
It was like the undercurrent, right?
Yeah.
And just like because of that, I just think this book was so smart, like really, really well written, well thought out.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of soul in Wang's writing. I love her. Give me more.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, it's only her second like published. She took away the prequels, right?
I know, sort of. Yeah, the spin-offs. So this sort of Kaya.
This is really old book too.
I said, why? I don't know.
You'd have to email her and ask her.
I know. Yeah, Sword of Cayenne was so good.
I know.
So good.
I know.
Okay. I know. I like don't want to stop talking.
Another time.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
Bye.